This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gas-fed show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. You have the code over the machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know it's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
And do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to Man Talk 133 with Charles and Darl, the movement dedicated to empowering men, uniting brothers, and building a strong coalition. This is more than just a conversation. It's a call to action. Join us as we uplift, support, and inspire men worldwide. Because together, we don't just talk, we lead, we grow, and we conquer. Are you ready to be part of the coalition? Let's dive in.
Welcome to Man Talk 133 with Shaw and Darl. We back. Sir. Hey, guess what, bro? Look at me, bro. Look at me. I'm moving this week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got shut down a little bit last week, didn't you?
It's all good, man. Appreciate everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody for, tuning in, checking us out, man. We really appreciate it, man. So we're going to talk about something tonight, man, that kind of affect a lot of people, man. Quite a few people that it affect, you know what I'm saying? And
what we working with?
Hey, man, the effects of a missing father.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, man. I guess my first question gonna be to you, man, is why do you think fathers are missing or inactive in their kids' lives? Before I go into my little spiel or what I'm gonna talk about.
A lot of times, man, for me, man, I guess I'm gonna use the race factor. Not necessarily the race factor, like a racial thing or whatever, but because I see it's more prevalent in our community, you know what I mean? So that versus other communities. And it's just like a disconnect, with I think it's a disconnect between the man and the woman in our community. I think we kind of have been conditioned, to kind of force the man out of the home, with whether it's being with welfare, government help, and all that stuff like that. In most cases, that's what I'm saying. That's what I see. For starters, just to break the ice. Okay, all right. It says fathers may be less active in their children's lives due to a complex interplay of factors, including traditional gender roles, economic pressures, and societal expectations, as well as personal choices and relationship dynamics. Now, what does this mean? This is somewhat of a breakdown detail of some of it. Societal and cultural factors, traditional gender roles. Historically, mothers have been seen as the primary caregivers, while fathers were expected to be the breadwinners, leading to less involvement in childcare. Which is true. I mean, because you got some men, they go after the money all the time. Right. That's their goal. They work 2 jobs. They'll work, long hours, just so some of them, so the wife won't have to work. You know what I mean? Yeah. What you mean? You talking about like now? I've seen both sides of the coin. Now I've seen some people, like you said, they'll take on 2 jobs so the wife won't have to work.
Right. That's what I was saying. Yeah. So
Okay.
so the wife won't have to work, so she can, because she normally is seen as the one that take care of the kids.
Right. And she can nurture the kids and she can, train them up and all that stuff like that. Versus a lot of times, now we don't have that luxury.
No.
A lot of times to, we can let them, stay at home, be a stay-at-home mom, and we work, 2 jobs, good jobs or whatever, a lot of times we don't have that luxury. But a lot of other people do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I know what you're saying about that. I got what you're saying on that.
Yeah, man. And like you said, historically, they have been, if you think about it, think about it. Our mom, 3 boys.
Yep.
So we're kind of like a product of a missing father to a certain extent.
Right.
I'll put it that way. Not fully, he wasn't gone, but he was gone.
Right. Yeah, he came every weekend, but like I said, he wasn't in the house. I got you. See what you're saying?
Some weekends. Let me stop.
Right.
All right, let me stop that. Economic pressures. In some cases, fathers may prioritize work to support their families, which can lead to less time for childcare and family activities. Kids have games during the week.
Yeah.
They can't make it. Gotta work, bro.
Gotta work.
I'm sorry, man. I work second shift, and I can't make it. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could, but I can't.
And then if they work in third shift, that's gonna be a beast too, man. Trying to, unless you come home, you got to come home and get you some sleep that morning. Then you can get up. But you still have a better chance if you work in third shift to make those gains versus that second.
Yeah, man. And then
shift.
Yeah. Not to mention, if you do work at third shift or something like that, you got kids that have plays and stuff, and that they can't make it to, or first shift, they can't get the time off, so, I'm outlining some of this stuff, man, to let people know that it ain't always a negative thing is the reason why they don't want to be involved. Like, some people make it like they just don't want to be involved in their kids' lives.
Right.
And that's not always the case.
You
know what I'm saying? Then you talk about the media and social norms may perpetuate the idea that mothers are naturally better caregivers than potentially discouraging naturally better caregivers, potentially discouraging fathers from actively participating. Well, I don't go with that. I don't ride with that, because you got single fathers, man, that better father, they're better parents than a single mom. There's a reason why he's a single father, because the mom wasn't a good mom.
Right. And that goes back to my first point in the beginning, even though we were talking about reason why, different things that fathers can be absent. That was my first point. Like what I was kind of, talking about with, some mothers, they just ain't good mothers. So the father is forced out of the home.
Yeah, true that.
So
I agree.
They clean that up a little bit in the beginning,
Yeah. And some fathers may lack the support and resources needed to be more involved, such as flexible work arrangements or childcare options, which is what we were just talking about. They gotta work.
And then
excuse
I
me.
look at that too when you brought that up, man. That's a good topic, man. You bringing up right now, because I'm looking at it. It'll be for me, in my opinion. It'll be I think it'll be kind of tough. I could be wrong. Correct me if I can. If I'm wrong, or somebody correct me if I'm wrong. A father going down trying to get childcare, versus a mom going down to get childcare and working.
Yeah, a little different.
It's a little different, ain't it?
Yeah,
It's a little different. So that's what I'm saying. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. They'll look at that man in a different light. But the woman can be a woman to be working, and she can go down and get childcare, and all this stuff like that, and they'll take care of her. But if the man do it, it's a problem.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I agree with that. In some cases, fathers may be actively. Now, this is a key. It's called parental alienation. In some cases, fathers may be actively excluded from a child's life by a parent, often due to unresolved conflict or manipulation. Now, that's I ain't gonna say it, but this could be the most popular one.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
That you see, because you think about it, they have a bad breakup, and she's like, "Okay, well, I got you. I'm gonna make sure you don't see your child."
Yep, use them as a pawn. Yep.
For that reason, I'm gonna make sure that I punish you, and they do it just that. And you know what's crazy about it? They have the courts on their side most of the time.
That's when you got to go get you a custody mediator.
Yeah,
you jump in, step in, go get you a custody mediator. They'll stop all that. But like sometimes, man, some guys, they don't really know where to start. As for getting a custody mediator, and then a lot of times they may not have the resources.
Yeah, true.
Because they getting drilled. They getting drilled, like you said, they got to be on the job. Then you got the support coming out. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of factors for to try to get that situation resolved for a dad like that. When their mom is when that breakup and their mom is using their kids like that.
The mom just being evil.
Yeah.
Being plain evil. You will not see your child under no circumstances, and I mean it. And you sitting there like this, whoever been through
crazy.
it.
That's crazy too, man. Like, some of them so devious. They will let the child stay at home if they're a little older enough. They'll let the child stay at home while they go out instead of letting the dad pick them up.
Yeah.
Like if you want to go out, if you want to go out, wouldn't it be feasible for you to just like, look, I'm gonna drop them off with you?
Yeah.
But some of them are so deviant, they'll just be like, nah, you ain't keeping nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Which is pretty sad though, man. But that's one of the main ones that I've known. That the parents just try to keep them, away from each other because they had a bad breakup or whatever the case may be, or they scared that if they do get the parent, say like for example, if the child start going back visiting the dad, that child support gonna get cut.
Yeah.
That's
like the joint custody or something like that.
Yeah, and if he gets joint custody where he with him every other weekend, then the child support could get cut, and that could affect their pockets.
Yep.
I'm just gonna be honest. Now we talked about the other stuff, but there is some personal factors too that men deal with that they need to step up. All men. I'm talking about. I don't care what color you are.
That's right.
I don't care what color you is. I don't care what color you is, because you got to.
Hey, you know how we talk. They know it. They'll find out if they don't.
I don't care what color you is, bro. You got to step up. The lack of interest or skill. Some fathers may simply not be interested in or lack the skills for childcare, or may have other priorities. Most of the time, they have other priorities. They have another woman, a whole nother family. They have partying they got to go do. They got to get the flies gear so they can stay fly. Then your child lacking. I mean, I'm just talking to the men for real. Like, y'all got to cut that out.
That's right. Right.
Back.
Yeah. I guess like I said, we'll pick back up on that, after the break. You know what I'm saying? Like the rest of that, because I tap in on that too, on that side.
Yeah, man. We'll tap in y'all back in after the break. We are right up against that break, so we'll be right back after the break.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Welcome back to Man Talk.
Yes, sir.
With Charles and Daryl.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so before the break, man, we were talking about lack of they may have a lack of interest in the kids or whatever. But the next one is what we kind of touched on a little bit before. Divorce or separation can lead to reduced contact between fathers and their children. And even in some cases, the mother may actively work to keep the father out of the child's life. Shame on these women that doing that.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy, man. And I was looking in the comments, man. Shout out to Joker.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. This like I'm looking at what he said, even though I'm address what we talking about too, right? And that's crazy, man. Like, over 60,000 for a kid that wasn't even his or his friends, it wasn't his, right?
That's
but
crazy,
just because of the kid's name was on the birth certificate, the state of Texas, tried to hold it, to him, right?
That's crazy.
And if I'm not mistaken, man, I had to do my homework on that. I think they tried to do that in North Carolina too, man.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Yeah, you put your name.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So, that's crazy, man. You got to be careful with that, man. So I guess they kind of go back with the argument when I know they were saying a lot of people were saying at one time, I don't know if it's a real thing or they trying to get it passed or whatever for like DNA test for all newborns when they're born. Just go ahead on and get a new DNA test to see who if it's your kid.
Which makes sense though.
Yeah. So you won't have to run into a situation like that. 60 G's.
He don't get none of that back, probably.
Right.
I wonder if Joker know if he got any of that back or not. I would like to know that if he got any of that back.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, man. So that divorce and separation is a thing that kind of they use that. Not only does that affect the relationship between the husband and the wife, but the kids too are the ones that kind of suffer the most.
Yeah,
because they may have a attachment to the father, and then you rip him out of the house, and then you got the kids that start causing resentment and all other kind of stuff. And once they get older, just so people know, once they get older, they got to vote. They're gonna be able to choose who they want to go stay with.
Exactly, and that'll hurt. And I know some people got to do what they got to do, in the divorce situation. So in a situation like that, it ain't no winners. But but a lot of times it can affect the kids in school too. Because they can't, they can't function in school. Like I say, they've been ripped out of their home with the dad, mom, or the dad.
Yeah,
depends on who they're with. Most of the time, usually it's the dad.
Yeah,
it's ripped out of the home, right? So, and like I said, it'll affect them like mentally, and then self-esteem and all that. And then like I said, the schoolwork, their schoolwork will drop. They'll drop in grades and stuff like that. So, it's a lot of factors, man, that go on in that divorce, man. It's just it's just one of those things, man.
Yeah, for real. Now, if the father suffers with this right here, then you definitely don't really need them around the kids until they get it squared away. Some fathers may struggle with mental health issues that impact their ability to be involved parents. Now, if that's the case, you gotta, hey, you gotta use wisdom. You gotta have supervised visits and all kind of stuff that prevent anything crazy from happening. You know what I mean?
What you mean? Like they'll suffer. Like
which part you talking about? What we
with the parenting part? You said they'll suffer from mental illness. You say I think that's what you said. I think we had a little glitch.
Yes, some fathers may struggle with the mental health issues that impact their ability to be involved parents. And I just said if they have those type of issues, then you really don't need to be around them unless it's supervised or they have that little issue under control.
Okay, I can kind of see. I'm gonna take another angle at that.
All right.
I agree with what you're saying though. Like we got mental issues, but I could take another angle at that. Some dads will probably have mental issues, like because they're used to being with their kids, and then when their kids are ripped away from them and they can't, love on them, and when see them every day or help them with their homework every day, they used to be. They can kind of, they can suffer mentally, depressed or whatever because they don't get to see the kid like on a daily basis, like they were when they was in the home, right? And then you got the mom trying to keep the kid away from them. So I look at it as like, you know, they can suffer mentally from that aspect too.
All right. So what about then if all right, everything going good, oh, but it started tripping, gonna find out something going on with him. What's your? I guess your stance would probably be like, "Hey, bro, you had to get that together."
You talking about like you talking about like on another level, like, you know,
so tripping.
Yeah, if it's something like that, yeah, you know, you gotta take some extra, you know, some other measures on that. You know what I'm saying? If they just off the rocker or whatever. But I was looking at it from a standpoint, you know, like
how to affect them after the divorce.
Right, you know, because they used to be with the kids all day. So when they do see the mom and they trying to get the kids, it's gonna be a little bit of arguing back and forth, tit tat, whatever, tit for tat or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that'll kind of drive them, you know, a little bit to an anger side. But now if you got somebody that's just all the way off the rocker, now you know, you might need some counseling on that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real, man. You know, and you know, fathers who suffer with substance abuse, drugs, alcohol, different things like that, may be unable to provide, you know, a nurturing, stable place for the kids to stay. So that's another reason why they, you know, this is their personal factors, the ones that they got going on that cause them not to be able to, you know, some of them that they won't have to be, they can't be around their kids. Because that alcohol and stuff, you think about it, man, you got somebody that's love alcohol and they out there drinking and driving with the kids in the car doing 100 miles per hour.
And that's the kind that we was there. Then that was the one that I was talking about a few seconds ago. That's the one that you're gonna have to monitor, you know, like what you call it, what kind of visit you call it. I know I just can't get it out right now.
Supervised.
Supervised visit. Yeah, see, that'll be the kind that, you know, that they'll need supervision when they visit. Them kinds you talking about right now.
Then, you know, some fathers, like they lack response. They just not mature. I ain't talking about young fathers either, because you got some young fathers that are very mature and some old fathers that are very immature. So they got to have the maturity to be actively involved in their children's lives. You know. But yeah, man. So, you know, as we continue to go on, you know, it's with men. It's already tough enough to be a man.
Yeah.
And to go through some of the things they have to go through, like the point you were saying, they used to their kids. They get ripped out. That's another thing that, you know, affects them. And you think about it.
Yeah.
That could cause, you know, problems with the kids. You know, because it impacts, as I said earlier, it impacts them too. So, you know, the negative impact on the children who lack a positive and involved father figure may experience a range of negative outcomes, including academic difficulties, behavioral problems, and relationship issues. The ones that just act out all the time in school.
That's why. That's exactly why.
And I know your wife can speak to that because she's a teacher.
Yep, she see it all the time. That's why they act out like that. She know that's why they act out like that. And a lot of the parents, they don't realize it. But my wife, she knows that's why they acting out. You know, you got all this going on in the home, you know, stuff like that or whatever. You know, she knows it, and you know, without putting it out there, you know, with no privacy and stuff like that or whatever. But she knows it though.
Yeah,
that's what the issue is a lot of times.
Yeah. And then, you know, that only thing that really causes is the mothers to feel overwhelmed. They feel unsupported. Because when you like a single mom, you got all this stuff going on, it can lead to you being stressed out, burned out, and which could cause you to start treating the kids a certain way. You look just like your, you know what, daddy.
That's man. That's the number one phrase.
You look just
Right
like
there.
him. And you know the word I'm
Just like
saying.
your
Like,
dad. Yeah, you look just like you.
ugly daddy. Let me go ahead and
I
say-
can't stand you.
No, for real though, man. Like, it's kind of it's kind of sad, but once they get mad and start thinking about the dad, right? Like, you know what? You look just like that. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah. And they
And
can't
then
stand, and then they say that to the kid, man. Like they talking to the kid like the kid grown. Like, I can't stand your little, you
yeah,
look just like your ugly dad.
and then that affects the kid. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it really does. Yeah.
So before we go to break, I'm gonna see if I can get this one in.
Okay.
Societal impact. Father's absence can have broader societal consequences, including increased rates of crime, poverty, and social problems. You know what I'm saying? But because the kids don't have like a structure. They do whatever they want, when they want, how they want. It don't matter what the mom gonna do. She can't control them. You've seen that before too. They just they can't control them. But we're gonna hop back into this, man, right after the break, y'all. We'll be right back.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Welcome back to Man Talk 133.
That's right.
Yeah, man. So before the break, man, we touched a little bit. We touched a little bit on the impact on the children when the when the fathers are when the parents are the fathers are missing, because we're talking about the fathers right now. So we're gonna go a little bit more in detail, the social, emotional, and behavioral issues that could come from it. Children may struggle with feelings of abandonment, low self-esteem, and difficulty managing their emotions. And if you take a child that has low self-esteem, let me say this. Let me preface this. I know I look like I'm a counselor and mental health counselor, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying?
Right. With the glasses did it for you.
With the glasses like a mental health counselor, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just telling y'all, I'm not. So the low self-esteem, you see a child with low self-esteem, you got to watch them. Just the way, that's the way they say stuff.
Yeah, you don't never know what in mind is, man.
And now they say it and act on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it used to be, back in the day, if somebody was to do that, you like, they just talking.
Yeah.
And they most of the time they probably would be just talking. But now when they say something off the wall like that, man, they gonna act on it.
Man, ain't about to take that food serious. That's what he say back in the day. But now, when somebody say something like, bro, now you better take that food serious, because he might for real do something.
Exactly.
And the abandonment part of it, children may struggle with feelings of abandonment. You just think about this, you want a relationship with your dad or whatever, and you feel like he don't want you. I don't care what you do. You talk to him on the phone. He coming. He don't show up. Oh no, I promise I'm coming this weekend. I got you. I'm coming. And then you sitting on the front porch with your bags packed.
Yeah.
And then he don't show up. Well, don't it sound like some experience though, Doc?
You got two sides of that though.
It was the other side. Talk to
you got two sides of that. I mean, I understand the side you talking about too. I agree with you. But you got two sides of it. They be wanting to come and get them. That's what I was gonna go back to. What you was talking about earlier about, like, some moms, they they single moms, they stressed and all this whatever, right? Because they got to go on about their everyday business, right? So like I said, it's two sides to it. Like you saying, some dads don't come, but it's some that will come, but mom won't let them come, right? They come get the kids, right? And if you stress, you're a single mom, whatever, you stressed or whatever, because you got everyday duties with the kid, like, if you know that it was your, I'm gonna just say husband if you was married. If he was, he was a stand-up guy when he was married to you, hey, cut him some slack and let him take the kids off of your hands. Then you got to try to hold, be hell bent,
I guess you feel like,
to keep the kids away from them. You know what I'm saying? So, that's the side I look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just cut them some slack, let them keep them. Then you can get you some downtime.
No, I guess she probably looking at he was a stand-up guy. Till I caught her with my girlfriend. One of my best friends.
Yeah.
Oh, that stand-up going out the window.
It's gonna always go to the left anyway. Whenever that's why I say, man, when it's a divorce or something or a split, with even that you ain't got to be married, it's always gonna be that. It's always gonna go to the left. I can't stand you. I hate you. Whatever. It's always. It never fails. That's undefeated. They said time is undefeated.
Yeah.
Father time is undefeated.
Yeah.
That divorce situation is undefeated too.
If you go through it, you already know what's going on.
I love you. I love you. I love you. But hey, the minute it's over, you ain't seeing the kids. I hate you. I can't stand you. Hey, this is what it is.
Boy, I'm trying to tell you. And fatherless children may experience difficulties with social adjustment, friendships, and may exhibit more behavioral problems. Like, I guess, with the friendship thing, they don't trust nobody. Like, bro, my dad ain't here. You think I trust you? He's supposed to be my dad. I ain't trusting nobody.
Right.
Exactly. For real. And it's hard for them to adjust because a lot of them, they go through depression, anxiety, mental, other mental health stuff when the father actually leaves. So now you think I'm gonna trust you? Man, stop playing. I'm not doing none of that.
Cause at the end of the day, man, all kids, if their dad is in the house, all kids gonna hate to see their dad leave. That's who they look up to in the house. If you got your dad in the house, which they gonna hate to see him leave.
He's like their hero. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
you know what I'm saying?
In some cases, yeah. And let's see, a higher likelihood of engaging in delinquent behaviors and criminal activity. Like I said earlier, no structure. When you got to come home and face dad. Oh, no doubt. You got to come home and face him.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be. You got to face him. You don't want to get in no kind of trouble, but when you don't have to, mom, you're gonna blow her off. It ain't my fault. I ain't had nothing to do with it. That was so and so and so. It won't me. And mom be like, okay, well, till the police show up.
Yeah, mom gonna have a soft spot.
100%. But that's the issue though. Like the dad, he comes in with that iron fist, but if he ain't in there, the likely chances of that going up increases dramatically. Because he's not held accountable. And this is something that I found interesting. Excuse me. Children from fatherless homes are more likely to become homeless.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's a wild stat.
It's like
I wanted to guess that.
Me either. And I was just like, when I read that, I was like, wow. Why? I wonder why would that be the case? And then I started thinking about it after I did all the research. The research that I did probably because the behavior issues, mental health issues, the crime, and then they don't have nowhere to go.
Well, I guess it's you breaking it down like that. I guess it is lining up.
Excuse me, y'all. It's piling more for real, and that's what I'm saying. So that's probably kind of why they probably end up homeless. And homeless, I would say it like this. Homeless does not mean they staying under a bridge. You know what I'm saying? It could mean they just don't have a home. They stay and they bouncing from house to house, like in the Bible say, like, like a vagabond. They just go from place to place to place to place to place and don't have no real set home. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And with saying that, this probably leads into the next one, being homeless. It probably increased vulnerability to physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. Now, it ain't all women that endure that.
That's right.
Because men can get with women and the women take off on them.
Oh, yeah.
And what they do, they let them do it. I'm just saying, they take off on them like they're a man, and they always been raised their whole life. Hey, don't put your hand on no women. Which you ain't supposed to, but if you sitting there watching TV and she walk up from behind and hit you behind the head with one of them slap like that, what you supposed to do?
Man, them reflexes is real, dog. Hey.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
You ain't supposed to do that, but
yeah, that's a real topic though. That's a real deal topic though. Like you say, you tell your girls to keep the hands to themselves, because hey, dudes out here now, like, they gonna put them hands back on. You want to be a man, they gonna give it to you like a man.
And that's what happens. That's what it opens them up. And I would say this one is more towards the women when it talks about the sexual abuse and the physical, because if a man is physically more demanding over her, if he said get up, you getting up, or I get you up, and it's kind of the wrong way that they do it, but that's a fact. These are some of the factors that can come from, and I'm talking to the men again, these are some of the things that can happen if you are, if you just walk out on your family. You got young kids, you just walk out and then the mom may be in a place where she wanted to get another man so bad and she get the wrong man.
Yep.
And then he come in being abusive, doing stuff to your kids that you don't approve of, but you can't do nothing about it because you gave up your spot.
Yeah, man. See what I'm saying? Like, and that's wild, man, that you say that. Because like I said, a lot of times, man, I don't know how guys do that. Like the circumstance that I think that you was talking about, I don't know how guys just walk out on their kids like that.
Yeah, they gave up their spot.
Outside of a divorce, you got some guys that actually leave.
Yeah.
And leave the women with them, you know what I'm saying? With the kids.
Yeah, man, we up against the break. We'll be right back, y'all, after the break.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Welcome back to Man Talk 133.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I got to get rid of this pollen.
It's gonna be here for a minute, dog. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something with
it. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's hop back into it, man. Okay. Fatherless children may struggle academically, scoring poorly on tests, and having difficulty with reading, math, and crucial thinking skills. I mean, which it just goes through this cycle. Which if they have poor academic performances, children from fatherless homes are less likely to complete high school and college, and then children from fatherless homes are more likely to experience poverty and instability. So all that just ties all together.
Yeah, it got too much. They got too much stress going on, man. With fatherless homes. That's why those kids' grades are dropping. And then it's a two-part thing to this. Is they got too much stress going on, so they don't know how to adapt.
Yeah.
And then the other one is they got too much freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they're gonna take the path of least resistance. And what I mean by that is like, since the father is out of the house, right? They got the stress on them. So the path with the least resistance is the one to just, I got some free time. I'm gonna just go do my free time, whatever I need to get into, versus concentrating on schoolwork.
Ooh, I did that. I was like 13. I'm just saying, I did all of that. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, we, how we grew up, right? And I just didn't do the schoolwork. Only time when I really got it, because I'm gonna speak from personal experience. When I really got it, it's probably about midway. The academic advisor, where the counselor called me and she was like, "Hey, if you want to graduate, you really got to turn a lot of stuff around." Right. Because I was so used to doing what I wanted to do at 13. This ain't no nothing to be glorified. But at 13, I was buying alcohol at 13. illegally, right? Apparently at 13 illegal, but I'm just saying I can go buy it over the counter, right?
Right.
And I would do that. Forget homework. You ain't doing no homework. It's the park and some private stock. That's it.
Yeah, that's old school. That private stock.
Yeah, forget all the other stuff. That's what my thought process was.
And then that's what it goes back to. What we was talking about earlier. Mom had to work second shift.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So the path of least resistance. Hey, you got freedom or homework. Freedom, homework. Ain't nobody doing no homework. So mom working second shift to make both ends meet. That sometimes they didn't ever meet, but we made it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what it is. But like I said,
freedom.
But like I said, you can look at us now though.
Yeah. We came a long way, y'all. I ain't gonna lie to you, because it was some rough patches that you think about it. She worked second shift,
sometimes she didn't get off at 12 or 3:30. Sometimes she had to work about 2-3 o'clock in the morning
and get back up and do it again. So
going in at 3:30 in the evening and getting off at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. So
that's the effects of not having a father in the house, because you think about it, if he had been in the house, we would have been in the house.
You got that right.
You know what I'm saying? We would have been in the house, but since he wasn't in the house, we were drinking with him. So that's the kind of father figure you don't really need. But like I always tell everybody, a lot of this stuff, man, is like, it's you got to look at it where they were at. You can't always assume they just didn't want to. They probably just didn't know how to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To be a dad or whatever, or what the case is, and trying to figure it out on their own is kind of put them in a bad spot, which put the whole family in a bad spot. You know what I mean? That's kind of sometimes how it happens. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, man. But I was reading though, it's crazy. This ain't just an issue that happens. It happens in the U.S. I've saw some interesting stuff in the UK too. Some facts from the UK. The father deficits between young girls and women in the UK. Because some people, because we live in the US, we just think that they talk about London. It don't happen in London. They got the Leaning Tower, and they got the Eiffel Tower or something. And they got all this, so they don't really be thinking stuff like this happen over there.
Right.
Because the way they paint it on TV.
Yeah, they got it painted good on TV. Yeah.
Yeah, but some of the father deficits of the way it affect young girls, fatherless daughters can have low self-esteem issues, which we talked about. This is something that's crazy that I didn't really think about. They can have eating disorders.
Okay.
Because
I can see that. I can see that.
More prone to depression. Struggle to build and maintain relationships. They just go from one person to the next. More likely to become sexually active early because it's the daddy complex.
Freedom.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
And can develop an addiction really, really quickly.
There's another freedom.
Yeah.
You just out there, saying you just out there rolling.
Just doing whatever you want to do.
And man, like I say, man, with this whole topic, man, it's crazy, man. It's how the effects are so dramatic. This whole with the whole divorce thing or whatever. So I guess, man, like people, man, they just got to be mindful of when you get ready to get married or whatever, even though if you ain't married, because I guess we put the divorce factor in it. That's why I'm gonna use the marriage part.
Yeah.
But you can still have it the same effects if you single and you got kids. You know what I'm saying? It can still be the same effects, but definitely if you get a divorce and the dad is taken out of the house.
Yeah, there's a different element.
When the kid is used to following the dad around the house and they going outside, they may be cutting grass, whatever they may be doing, and then all of a sudden he's taken out of the house like that.
Yeah,
it's There's some everlasting effects, man.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? This is something that was stalling to me. Is a older statistic, and it may be higher or lower now, but at the time, 2.9 million children live in a one-parent household. Live alone in a one-parent household. 2.9 million children, and it may be more over here. I don't know. I didn't do the research on that and stuff like that. So let me go down here to naturally behavior issues, relationships. It's harder. It may be hard for young people with absent fathers to trust and build and maintain relationships in the future. Now, this relationship I'm talking about is more so like a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship. You know what I'm saying? It'd be hard for them to maintain it because they don't trust nobody. Dad walked out on them.
Yep.
Then they can get involved in gangs because the dad ain't there. They're looking for the love from the dad.
Right.
That ain't there, bro.
Right. That's the key. That's what you just said. They're looking for the father figure.
And it ain't there. You know what I'm saying? Some issues before we get out of here, some things that help people out, being educated on the issues, impact and the impact and the cry for help, signs in our young people. Just be mindful of, just look, if they behavior change, just make sure you, sit down and talk to them. Hey, bro, something going on. What's happening? I noticed.
Right.
You've been quiet lately, bro. Everything good? Be open-minded and understanding of our young people's situations. Encourage them to open up and begin their transformation. You're gonna only be understanding, but so much because you still the parent. You know what I'm saying? You can't sit down and they give you this whole spiel about how they, they don't, whatever spiel they give you. You just can't do that. Last one, dog, before we get out here, get them involved in activities. And local organizations that regularly deliver programs and events to support young people, helping them to stay active and happy and out of trouble.
Keep their mind off of, keep their mind clear.
There you go. Yep. And representation matters. So having male teachers in schools to help give children a positive role model, especially those who reflect their personal and cultural experiences, and helping young people identify with adults can help them understand their experiences. Hey, before we get out of here, we thank everybody for tuning in to Man Talk 133 with Charles and Daryl. And to next week, stay blessed. We out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us, giving our veterans a voice.